at the introduction to probability, first of all, let's go through all of these words here. If you're keeping a glossary of words, I'd advise you to write some of these down. So the example that I'm going to use to talk you through all of these is rolling a die. So that would be a trial. I'm going to write that down here. I mean, rolling a die, what I've written here is not the definition of what a trial is. Other things might be tossing a coin, conducting some sort of experiment, which is, I guess, an experiment is where there's something down to chance, that certain different things could happen. So, rolling a die, what are all the outcomes that we could have here? How many are there for this one? There's 6 different outcomes. And so, again, if it's another type of experiment you're doing, tossing a coin, how many different outcomes? One we often then come down to sooner is the sample space. What are all the different possibilities for those outcomes? Rolling a die, what could you have? You could roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. So there are 6 different outcomes, but there are different events that could happen. For example, one event might be rolling a 3 or rolling a 2. Or what about rolling an even number? What are the chances of that happening? And how do we measure these probabilities? They're measured between 0 and 1. You might think of them also like 0% chance up to 100% chance, or probability is measured 0 being the lowest and 1 being the highest, with decimals used. So for example, the chance of rolling an even number, 3 possible outcomes for that. There is a 50% chance or 0.5 chance of that happening. Now, the complement of something is the opposite that could happen. So we often call an event E. If an event is E, then the complement of that, so I guess we often use capital E as well, the complement is called E with a dash, often just called E dash. So for example, if rolling a 3 is the event, what's the complement of rolling a 3? It's everything else that could happen. So the complement is rolling a number other than 3. That would be the complement. And these are some of the other words that you get asked sometimes in questions. What is the chance, for example, of rolling at least a 3? You then have to think of all the different outcomes that you could get, which is a 3, 4, 5 or a 6. So that would be for at least 3. What if it was at most 3? Always got to think, does that include the number or not? Yes, at most 3. So it's the chances of rolling a 1, a 2 or a 3. And notice I use those words there too. So rolling at most 3 means you have been a winner of your event if you did roll a 1 or a 2 or a 3. And so we're adding the chance of that together. What about the chance of rolling an even number? That is also prime. I'm running out of room there. A prime even number. So what are the chances of that? So the number that you roll has to be even. Okay, well there's 3 things that could be there. But which one is also prime? It's only 2. So using an AND means that the outcome has to match both of those requirements. Okay, so how do we work out probability officially and doing an example? So here's our official definition of how to work out the probability of something. The probability, PR, of an event happening, which in the past we were using rolling a 3, is the number of outcomes where the event occurs. In the case of rolling a 3, there was 1, and the total number, that hashtag octothorpe, is the total number of it. So that stands for number, total number of outcomes. In rolling a die, there was 6. So the chance of it happening over the total number of possible things that could have happened. Let's get into an example and do it. So here's our example. If we had the letters of the word print, P-R-I-N-C-E, and they're written on 6 equal size cards, and they're going to be chosen out randomly, things you might get asked to work out. So first of all, if you had to write out the sample space, what is sample space? Over here, it's listing all the possible different outcomes that you could get. So here, it's all the different letters. Often we separate that with a comma, P-R-I-N-C-E. Yes, you can see that. Next, what if we're asked to find the probability of choosing an N? That's often written like this, PR, sometimes just P, and then we put the thing that we're finding in brackets next to it. The chances of finding an N. We've got how many N's here? 1 out of the total number of possible outcomes, 6. So that's our probability of finding an N. We often do leave it as a fraction. Sometimes you'll see it as a decimal. So next part, what is the sample space of finding a vowel? So this time round, I just want you to list the vowels, and that's a new sample space. Where are our vowels here? We have an I and an E. So list out their sample space. That's an I and an E. Then working with that, what if we are now asked to find the probability of finding a vowel? So here are our 2 vowels. There's 2 chances of that happening out of the total words, letters of 6 there. We do like to simplify down if we can, which comes down to 1/3 dividing top and bottom by 2, or if you've got a calculator and you type that in and hit equals, it often simplifies it down for you. Last couple of parts, what if we have to state the sample space now of the complement of choosing a vowel? How could we notate that? Using V, we would do V dash. So listing all the things in the sample space of not vowels, which are consonants, that's the letters left over. So I want you to list them first, P, R, N, and C. And then the last part for this question, what is now the probability of choosing one of those? So choosing the complement, you can see my V dashed there. There are 4 possibilities of choosing that out of a total of 6. Dividing top and bottom by 2 would give us 2/3. So this video is on probability. Lots to go through there, sample space, how to calculate probability. Good.